When we are giving a speech or talking to someone, we want our words to be felt as they are intended to be. We want the meaning to be conveyed to the audience. Now, for those, we have the body language and vocal variety as extremely powerful tools in the arsenal. So, in this short video, we will study about the tools in the category of body language and the tools in the category of vocal variety. In doing so, first of all, we will see the gestures made by President Barack Obama, who is a great speaker, and then understand the tools in body language. Then we will go on to understand the tools in the vocal variety. Actually, we will watch a brief video clip by Denzel Washington, whose picture that you see on the slide right now. And later on, to sum up, we will watch a World Championship speech by Jim Key with annotation to understand the combination of body language and vocal variety. First of all, body language. In using body language, we have several tools. First of all, we have the gestures, then facial expressions, then the way we stand on the stage called the stance, and the way we move on the stage or the stage usage. Now, a great example of using gestures is President Barack Obama, as you know, who is a great speaker. So you can see the variety of gestures that President Obama has used in his speeches. I think these gestures came naturally to him because he has practiced them so much. So you can see here the smiling face of President Obama. It's a welcoming pose here, and he's making a point here, and he's appealing to the audience, and he's showing emotion here. And then this is once again making a point, shows his determination, a welcoming gesture, capturing all of them, inviting. See, even more gestures. Now he's showing his extreme expressions in that picture. In this one also, in this one too. Once again here. So he's conveying his earnestness and profoundness of the message by touching his chest. And he also some inclusion and making a point and a little bit of a funny gesture. So moving our arms and moving around and looking at people, we make gestures. And one of the most important ones in our body language is the eye contact. Now you can see how President Obama in this case is looking at different parts of the audience. In the World Championship speech also, we will see how the speaker, Jim Key, is looking at the audience and giving attention to each and everyone by spending a couple of seconds with him or her. Okay, so the actual 5 tools in body language are stance, that means the way you stand on the stage. You must stand firmly on the stage so that your confidence is projected in the way you stand. And then eye contact, as I mentioned before. You must spend a few seconds with each one in the audience so that they feel that they are also included in your speech. Then the facial expressions. When we talk to someone, we show our sadness, we show our laughter, we show our happiness, we show our anger, we show our humor through our facial expressions. And these come naturally to us. And in our speeches also, the facial expressions must be there to convey meaning to our audience. And then we saw the gestures made by President Obama. I think with that, the last one is movement. Now, the stage movement must be purposeful. What that means is you can show passage of time. That means when we talk about history, you can move backwards. When you show that you're going to some place, you can move sideways. Like that. To show purpose, we must make movements. So erratic movements that signify nervousness are actually bad in a speech. Yes, that's about body language. Now, let's move to the vocal variety. Now, vocal variety is extremely powerful. Now, let's watch this brief video clip. Actually, the ideas in the movie are advanced ideas. So therefore, uh, you must use this as only a learning experience. Now let's watch the movie and see how this famous actor, Denzel Washington, is able to show great message to his students in this case through this one.
Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Yes, sir, I do like to talk. Is that a virtue or a vice? Well, I have to admit, I've always wanted to be the quiet, mysterious type. Only I couldn't keep my mouth shut long enough.
Would you punch yourself in a street fight, Mr. Burgess?
No, sir.
Then don't punch yourself in a word fight. You don't have to make fun of yourself. Use your humor against your opponent. Mr. Farmer.
Yes, sir.
Happy Mr. Farmer. Tell us one thing we don't know about your father.
He was the first Negro PhD.
One thing we don't know about your father, Mr. Farmer.
He walked from Florida to Massachusetts to go to college at Boston University. He graduated magna cum laude.
Mr. Lowe. Tell us about your father.
Why don't you tell us something about your father?
We're trying to get to know each other, Mr. Lowe.
I was trying to get to know you, Mr. Tolson.
Well, I'm not the one on the debate team.
Are we not engaged in a debate right now?
All right. I'll take the affirmative. Take the meanest, most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, female niggers, and nigger infants. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a horse facing in opposite direction, set him on fire, and beat both horses until they tear him apart in front of the male, female, and nigger infants. Bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger males within an inch of their life. Do not kill them, but put the fear of God in them, for they can be useful for future breeding. Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. No one? He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching came from his last name. His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind. I and every other professor on this campus are here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind. Because obviously you have lost it. That's all you need to know about me, Mr. Lowe. Class dismissed.
Now you saw in that great movie clip from the great debaters how Denzel Washington showed this power of voice along with the gestures to make the point that he wanted to. Actually, the word that was used specifically is not a word that we can use now. I think you understand what I mean. But as an educational experience, we can use this clip to learn from it and analyze. So vocal variety is extremely powerful. So that contains, first of all, volume control. Then secondly, the rate change, then change of pitch, a change of quality, and the use of pauses. So I think it's very easy for us to understand what volume change is to show fear, to show powerful emotions. You can control the volume. To show earnestness, you can lower the volume. And in that, you can use the frequency also. So rate means the frequency. You use a deep voice to convey profoundness like this. Or use high-pitched voice to show other emotions, like when someone sees a cockroach and gets frightened, you can use a high pitched voice and so on. So this pitch control is actually, I'm sorry, it's the third one, the pitch control. Rate means the number of words that you utter per minute for a unit time. To emphasize, you can lower the rate. So in the World Championship speech, we will see that. So in that speech, we will see to show a child screaming, the speaker increases his pitch. So pitch is a frequency and the rate of delivery is the number of words that you utter per minute. So I'm sorry about the initial confusion that I made. Then the quality is about the quality of your voice. Now, to show bad feelings, or maybe you walk into a slum and you feel very bad, you can lower the quality of your voice like that. Use to show profoundness, you can use beautiful quality in your voice and so on. Okay, that's a slightly hard thing to control, but it's a nice tool in a good speech. Then pauses are they very powerful. Now, you utter a part of a sentence and the final, most important one, you deliver after a pause, like I did just now. So, volume, rate, pitch, quality, and pauses are the 5 tools in vocal variety. Now, I'll give you a brief number of tips and then we will move on to listen to the World Championship speech. Now, as I said before, any movement should be purposeful. We must avoid distracting and nervous motion. So, what that means is our gestures must seem to come naturally. Our voice control must seem to come naturally. Now, this happens when you practice very much your speech. So, one thing that you can do is to record yourself using your phone and watch it again, and then once again record and watch it again so that you perfect this delivery. So, using gestures and voice variations must come naturally to you and they come by practice. And also, one tip is match those tools with your emotions. See, when you're sad, you use a different pitch in your voice. Yeah. When you convey anger, you use a different volume in your speech. Like that. So you can match them with your emotions and then you will be successful in synchronizing these tools properly to convey the right ideas in your speech. So now comes the World Championship speech. So I have annotated them as much as I could so that you can notice the tools that the speaker is using. Yeah. So this speech is by Jim Key. I think it's a 2008 World Championship speech.
Our next speaker, Jim Key. Never too late, never too late, Jim Key.
The movie theater was quiet. The aroma of overpriced popcorn permeated the air. You settled in for the perfect family outing, and then it happened. The film that you were watching took a sudden emotional turn. You try to resist it, but you can't help it. And before you know it, your eyes begin to sweat. You may not care that people see you crying in public, but the last time this happened to me, I was thankful the theater was dark. Until my lovely young daughter, who doesn't know it's okay to whisper, pierced the darkness with, "Are you crying?" Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone who's ever gotten misty at the movies, never ignore inquisitive children. The longer you do, the louder they get. In a matter of seconds, My daughter shouted, "Why are you crying, Daddy?" When this happened, the movie that my family and I were watching was The Rookie. On the surface, it's a movie about the oldest rookie in professional baseball, but on a much deeper level, it's about reclaiming life's missed opportunities. When the movie ended and I realized what a great teaching opportunity I had, I turned to my two sons and I said, "Guys, what did you learn from this?" Imagine how proud I was when my 16-year-old said, "I learned that my dad cries at the movies." My 12-year-old took the question and his well-being a bit more seriously. He said, "I learned that it's never too late to follow your dreams." It's never too late to follow your dreams. Why does it sometimes take a child to remind us of that? It's because children are uninhibited dreamers. In fact, last year I was speaking to an elementary school assembly, and I asked the question, if you could have any job in the world, what would it be? And one little guy said, "Oh, to be the guy that rides on the back of the garbage truck." Who knew? His passion was proof that he knew something many adults have forgotten. Dreaming is fun. It's natural. And it's necessary. Every notable accomplishment in human history began as a dream. Do you remember how you dreamed as a child? Back when we had this wonderful sense of innocence, we could gaze into the future and imagine all sorts of possibilities. Then we turn our focus to adulthood. And many of us find that by the time we actually get here, we hit a wall. And we stop dreaming because we can't see past next week. Why? What happened? Somewhere along the way, we learned a painful truth. We learned that failing to achieve our dreams hurts. We encounter critics who ridicule and crush our dreams, and it hurts. And we hear an inner voice that says, "Please, no more. I can't take being hurt again." We convince ourselves that it's better to just give up those things and do what we're supposed to do instead of longing for what we were meant to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we were meant to dream. We were meant to dream. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest dreamers of our age, said, "The time is always right to do what is right." And that means that if it was right for us to dream as children, then it's just as right for us to dream as adults. The question is, do we have the courage to dream? I am privileged to know a remarkable teenage girl who does. Her name is Nicole. And you should know that Nicole is hearing impaired, she is vision impaired, and 3 years ago she survived a stroke. That's not fair. If anyone has the right to give up on dreams and just accept reality, she does. But instead, I've watched Nicole redefine reality, not according to her physical limitations, but according to the size of her dream. As part of that, 2 years ago, I watched her stand on a huge stage in front of almost 3,000 people and perform the sweetest song I've never heard. She sang it through sign language, and I didn't just see it. Deep inside, I felt it. Instead of hiding behind justifiable excuses, there she stood, teaching me it's never too late to follow your dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you dream? Or is the better question, what did you dream and why did you stop? If you've ever let a dream slip away, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. If you can summon the courage to overcome your circumstances and your experiences and your critics, your dream can live. Whether you dream of making beautiful music or not getting caught crying at the movies. If you dream of changing the world or riding on the back of a garbage truck. If you forget every word I've said today, it would thrill me if you remember this.
So I think we watch this speech to understand the use of vocal variety and body language. I think you saw many examples. I invite you to watch this again and again and see how powerful these are and how powerful the message was. So to just summarize one of them, he used a sign language in one instance and he completed the speech using the sign language, and we were able to understand sign language, the few words that he uttered. It's never too late to follow your dreams, and I think it was very beautiful. So as you can see, vocal variety and body language are extremely powerful tools. In regard to body language, we use gestures, our facial expressions, the stance, stage movement, and most importantly, the eye contact. In vocal variety, we use the volume, rate, a pitch, a quality, and pauses. And using these two categories of tools, we can enhance our speeches. And thank you very much for listening.